This video covers the history of one of the earliest Afrikaans churches in Krugersdorp. With the establishment of Krugersdorp during the early days of the Witwatersrand gold rush, the need for a local congregation became urgent. The first congregation gathering took place as early as the 18th of November, 1889, in the home of MPW Pretorius, owner of the farm Paardenkraal, on which Krugersdorp was established. At the time, Pretorius resided at the corner of President and Kruger Streets. The Krugersdorp congregation was officially founded on the 7th of June, 1890. Shortly thereafter, Professor H.C.J. Becker was confirmed as its first minister on the 6th of September, 1890, marking the beginning of a new era of spiritual life and community building in the young mining town. Reverend Hendrik Christian Becker was born on the 8th of July, 1861, and ordained as minister of the Krugersdorp congregation in 1890. He faithfully served his first congregation, for 8 years before accepting a call to Bethune in 1898. The church initially ran a school in the same space where services were held, and a manse was built in Ocker Street in 1891. Eventually, enough funds were raised for a dedicated church building, and the cornerstone was laid by Reverend Becker on the 7th of April 1894, on the block bounded by Rissik, Dingaan, Church and Joubert Streets, on stands granted to the church by the Transvaal government of President Paul Kruger. The church was consecrated in January 1895. Among the deacons was T.J. Bedford, who would later serve as market master. The church's opening was a major event. 158 wagons were counted, along with troops of horsemen and cart proprietors. The still open land between Kobe Creek Street and Bob Van Reenen Stadium was used as church square for the Boer congregation members coming by wagon from afar to pitch camp during the 4 weekends per year that was used for confirmations, baptisms, communions, etc. Built in the Norman Gothic style, the church cost £6,000. While English-speaking miners may have admired the imposing structure, it also signaled a cultural and linguistic divide. The sight of hundreds of Dutch-speaking white families gathering at the solid, looming Dutch Reformed Church reinforced what historian Roy Rappaport described as redundancy, the repetition of similar messages from the built environment to communicate shared values and identities. The planned clock was never installed, and the bells were housed for a while in a makeshift wooden structure near the corner. The church was also the site of the funeral service for the burghers, citizens/soldiers of the South African Republic who died during the Jameson Raid. They are buried in the old Burgershoop Cemetery. Becker was succeeded by Reverend F.G.T. Radloff from Hoopstad, who was installed on the 17th of December, 1898. His ministry coincided with the turbulent years of the Anglo-Boer War, 1899 to 1902, a dark chapter marked by civilian suffering, the British-run concentration camp in town, and Boer prisoners of war. Reverend Radloff and his wife distinguished themselves through their unwavering compassion and service. Together, they ministered to the spiritual and physical needs of those affected by the war, particularly women and children in local concentration camps and prisoners of war held in Krugersdorp. Under Radloff's leadership, a relief committee was formed to provide aid and comfort, an enduring testament to the church's mission and action during times of crisis. The next minister, Reverend Jacobus Joubert Craig, brother of Mrs. Uma Issy Smuts, wife of Jan Smuts, was installed on 21st April 1922. He served faithfully for 14 years until he passed away unexpectedly from a stroke on 29th of October 1936 in Paardenkraal Hospital. Dingaan Street, leading into the current present hyper, was renamed Kobe Craig Street in his memory, and a memorial was laid in his honor within the grounds. With the town's population expanding and the West Rand developing rapidly, the congregation grew significantly. The church building underwent extensive renovations between 1960 and 1961. The corrugated iron roof was replaced with slate. The tower was modified for structural stability, resulting in the removal of the original Victorian cast iron weather vane. And the interior was modernized with new ceilings beneath the hammer beam, trusses, and a full repaint. The original organ loft above the pulpit remains visible today. Like many inner-city congregations, the Krugersdorp congregation experienced a decline in membership during the latter half of the 20th century and into the 21st. Urban migration, demographic shifts, and changing community dynamics all played a role. In 2010, the congregation was merged with the neighbouring Luipaardsvlei congregation, marking the end of a significant chapter in local church history. The church hall continues to serve the Krugersdorp community today as the Tower of Life, a shelter for the homeless in the city centre.